Okay, we're going to do Chapter 3, Structure and Function. So for this year, we've gone from atoms to molecules, and now we're going to go from cells all the way through the organism by about Christmas to just after Christmas. After we get to that level, we're going to go into the ecology section and go from populations all the way to the ecosystem and biosphere. So cells are the smallest unit capable of life. Groups of cells that work together make up tissues. Groups of tissues that work together make up organs. Groups of organs that work together make up the organ system. And groups of organ systems that work together, and there are 11 of them, make up the organism. Okay, the history of the cell. The cell is the basic unit of an organism. Its discovery was made possible by the invention of the microscope. Now, we've already talked about this man, Anton von Leeuwenhoek. He developed the modern microscope. Now, he did not invent the microscope itself, but he did invent the modern microscope where we have multiple lenses on one. That then enabled Robert Hooke to describe the first cells using thin slices of cork. Now, with this, he said that the look of the cork cells reminded him of monks' cells. Now, with that, that means that it reminded him of the place where monks live. There are rooms within the monastery, not like a jail cell. Compound scopes use a series of lenses to magnify in steps. Okay. Now, two men we do have to know from this point on, Matthias Schleiden and Thomas Schwann. Matthias Schleiden was the one who first said all plants are made of cells, while Thomas Schwann made the big discovery that all animals are made from cells. You can remember it this way. Schwann sounds like swan, and swan is an animal. So Thomas Schwann said all animals are made of cells. Therefore, Thomas Schleiden said all plants are made of cells. Now, this is, you have to know this for your SOL, for my tests. Okay, there are 3 parts to the cell theory. All living things are made up of cells. Cells are the basic unit of life or organization, and all cells come from other cells already in existence. There are 2 types of cells, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes have no organelles, no nucleus, are single-celled, and include bacteria. Okay, think about it this way. Pro equals no. Pro equals no. No nucleus, no membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotes do have a nucleus, do have membrane-bound organelles. They can be unicellular or multicellular. They can be made of one cell or more than one cell. These are the protists, things like amoeba, fungi, plants, and animals. Okay. So pro, no nucleus, no membrane-bound organelles. You do have a nucleus, do have membrane-bound organelles. Now we're going to talk about the parts of the eukaryotic cell. We're going to stick mainly to animal cells. However, every now and then I will throw in a couple of plant parts. The cell membrane is in every single cell on the planet. It serves as the boundary of the cell between the inside of the cell and the outside of the cell, the external environment. It controls what enters and leaves the cell. Okay, you think about the cell membrane as the skin of the cell. Some cells, like plant cells, some bacteria and fungi, have an extra layer outside their cell membrane, and that layer is called the cell wall. Plant cells contain cellulose, while fungi cells contain a material called chitin. Inside the cell, okay, it's not just free-floating space, it's not just liquid. There is a jelly-like material called the cytoplasm. Okay, so the cytoplasm is the jelly filling of the cell. The nucleus is the brain of the cell. It controls what happens in the cell. It is surrounded by a double layer membrane called the nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope. And it has pores that let materials in and out. The nucleus contains chromatin or long strands of DNA. as well as another structure called the nucleolus. So here's the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, besides DNA, there is a nucleolus. The nucleolus is responsible for making ribosomes. Ribosomes can be found floating in the cytoplasm or attached to the rough ER, and they are responsible for making proteins. So ribosomes make proteins. The endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER, okay, here's a picture of it. This is the nucleus. It's usually depicted kind of surrounding the nucleus. It is a set of folded membranes that acts as the cell's delivery system. There's a rough version and a smooth version. The rough version contains ribosomes, rough ribosomes. That means the rough ER is responsible for helping make and package and delivering proteins. The smooth ER has no ribosomes and it's responsible for helping make lipids and delivering those lipids. The Golgi apparatus, or the Golgi body, is a series of flattened sacs where the newly made lipids and proteins from the ER are repackaged and shipped to the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Think of the Golgi apparatus as the cell's post office. It's just packaging everything up. Vacuoles are storage containers in the cell. They'll store food, excess fluids, nutrients, or wastes. Okay, animal cells can have multiple small vacuoles, while a plant cell contains one large central vacuole. Lysosomes, they're like the stomach of the cell. They'll fuse with digestive, they'll fuse with food to digest away the food, but also if a cell part is old or broken or damaged, it'll digest away that cell part. Now, they also have another function and another name. They're known as the suicide sacs. When a cell becomes too old or damaged, the lysosome will release all the digestive enzymes. So every single lysosome, and cells have multiple of them, will release all the digestive enzymes at the same time, and it will digest the cell from the inside out. It sounds horrible, but is needed for keeping our bodies healthy. Mitochondria, also known as the mighty mitochondria. It is a kidney bean shaped organelle that produces ATP, where ATP is energy. It's the site of cell respiration. We're going to learn about that in the next chapter. Okay, and cell respiration is going to occur on the inner membranes of this mitochondria, and those inner membranes are called the cristae. Cells don't have bones. Our bones are made of cells, but cells themselves don't have bones. What they have instead is a cytoskeleton. It's a network of thin fibrous material that act as scaffolding and support for the organelles. There are two types, microtubules, which are hollow, and microfilaments, which are solid, and these are all filaments of proteins. Centrioles, we don't have to know too much about the centrioles other than that they are made of protein. They are found in animal and fungi cells and aid in cell reproduction. Now, cells can either be stationary, they don't move, or they can be locomotive, they move. There are two structures that help cells move. They can either have cilia or flagella. Cilia are short, numerous hair-like projections on the cell membrane. They move in a beating pattern or a wave. This is a paramecium. This paramecium looks hairy. Those are not hairs, those are cilia. And each of these cilia will kind of beat in the same pattern, and that'll help project the cell forward. Flagella, on the other hand, are less numerous, and they're long whip-like structures that move in a whip-like manner to propel the cell forward. Flagella is what's in this picture. So this is a bacterial cell. It's got two flagella. Flagella means more than two. This is flagellum. Flagellum means it only has one. Okay, this is a sperm cell. This whip-like flagellum is going to help propel this cell up the uterus to meet the egg cell. Besides just knowing what all of the organelles do, we have to know what they look like. So you've got to be able to identify them from pictures. So this is just a generic animal cell. Here's a flagellum. Here are cilia. This outside layer, the skin of the cell, is the cell membrane. Inside is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, those little X's, those are the chromosomes. The circular structure inside the nucleus is the nucleolus, and that's where ribosomes get made. All of these little speckled polka dots found on the ER here and throughout the cytoplasm, those are ribosomes. That means this structure right here surrounding the nucleus is the rough ER. And because this one right here does not contain any ribosomes, it makes that the smooth ER. This little flattened stack of weird looking pancakes right here is the Golgi apparatus. These two little structures right here made of protein are called the centrioles. We've got the mitochondria with their cristae inside. The little sticks down throughout are representing the cytoskeleton. They can either be microtubules or microfilaments. And lastly, the structure that we've not identified yet, all of this jelly-like feeling, is the cytoplasm. Now, I'm going to pick up on the next video with the cell membrane